Good evening. This is the Dayton Historical Commission meeting at Old Town Hall, 6 o'clock and, 6:05, and we're calling the meeting to order. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. And we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's perfect timing, and Stacy's.
Look at that. It's like you planned it.
I know. Shoot it.
Annual town meeting.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi. Well, I had a little Wi-Fi issue today, so I'm glad I got it fixed.
Oh, it's your turn to have Wi-Fi issues, not
Yeah,
ours.
it's been weird all day, so I don't know what's going on.
So, your timing is perfect. We just opened up the meeting, we're like, and there you were.
Perfect.
So,
I could have not said anything about the Wi-Fi. No one would have been the wiser.
oh, yeah.
This is like having a celebrity sighting because I've heard so much about her.
Yeah, I know.
I've never finally seen her.
So we have new members. I'll have everyone go around and introduce themselves. Of course, you know me. And I'm Shara. How are you? Good to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you,
Zach.
Shara. I got,
I'm Dave. Nice to meet you.
hi, Dave.
And Pat.
Oh, good. I get two Pats. That makes my life easier.
We both may answer you, right?
Yeah, yes. Well, I always learned, as a kid, I learned to make sure I answered to my sister's name too, so.
Oh, yes, yes. So we've been going through the forms. There's so much information there. So we had some questions and I did send them to you that we were developing.
Oh, yes.
So I guess we'll talk about Mount Hope first.
Okay. Let
that's-
me, I'm opening it up right now.
All right. So in there, and the Mass Historical Commission's letter, they asked to try and identify the houses that have moved.
Yeah, that was a little tricky. Let me pull that up. Yeah, trying to figure out what's been moved is tricky. There's some I was able to nail down, but other ones I don't know how we're going to be able to figure that out. I can do a little closer look. Oh, here it is. No. A little bit closer look at the aerial photos and stuff and see if I can nail down a few more. But I think some of them, it might be tricky to kind of figure that out. But I can give it a shot, I think.
Zach found this website, the American.
It's a file from the American Textile Museum.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
now it used to be a physical museum, but it's not.
I kind of found it by accident. I literally just typed in Dayton Mount Hope just to find more information. It's like the third or fourth thing that I found on Google, but to find it specifically, if you just Google Mount Hope Finishing, American Textile Museum, it's going to link you to some University of Maine, I think it was, and then they have a link to the file. But it's like
I had done several years ago, I'd done a town that was all like a company. It was textiles, but it wasn't finishing. It was a different sort of thing.
Right.
And that's right. I remember Maine bought out, it was in transition at that point, and Maine got the collection.
I couldn't believe that of all the times that we've searched this. I found it a month ago. Like, I'm like, how did I not find this before? So I don't know if it was newly updated. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's two files that were there. One is like a bird's eye illustrated kind of plan, and then one is more of like a floor plan.
Okay. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
one thing
I
that
never know whether it's just newly uploaded or the algorithm just
Works?
exactly.
something, something, got some algorithm got tickled and then it changes things. So I say that happens all the time when I'm doing survey research, that suddenly something I've been looking for forever, it's right there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was already helpful because I think that had to do with some of the houses that we weren't sure where they were.
yeah,
And like, because it's not a assessor's map, it doesn't have the address or the property lines. It just says DWE for dwelling. But the
Right.
fact that we saw that visually, it's almost like, oh, that's where I wonder if that's that house. And it wasn't until now that we were able to somewhat identify what something could have been. I forget what it was exactly, but I didn't see that on your list of sources. So I was like, oh, maybe it's worth letting her
Yeah,
know that.
no, I hadn't come
Houses.
across that. That hadn't come through my algorithm either. So that's funny because I found for other towns that have mills, I've come across that, but not for Mount Hope. So now,
Yeah.
okay. So algorithm must have gotten the right number of hits or whatever.
I guess so. We call it the dark web.
So that seems, in their letter, that was one of their suggestions. And I thought, well, how do we know, some of them ones that you identified, you thought may have been moved, but not, definitively. So I guess we have to work on that. And we also thought maybe like our records in the town would have some information on that too, of houses moved.
Might.
I could ask at the assessor's office, I think.
And also, how if a house has been moved that they want us to consider, is there a distance away that they will no longer, like if it's 4 or 5 streets away, let's say the house was moved, at that point will they say no, you can't quite count that, because they can't really draw a pork chop district unless they just call it a contributing.
Right. I was thinking they can do it's a quirk of the system that, for example, like when I'm doing the survey forms, like for Mount Hope, like to do an area form, like to be documented, all the properties have to be contiguous. But if you were nominating something for the National Register, they can actually be discontiguous. So that's why you've got a couple of houses like over the line in Taunton.
Yeah.
That Mount Hope owned, and then there's the farm, and that's a whole other issue. But so you can actually have some things that are discontiguous, and usually for National Register, they don't let you do anything. Having something be moved is from its original site diminishes its integrity. But in this case, it was moved in order to become part of this resource. So, but yeah, so it shouldn't. We won't have to worry so much about things being contiguous. You can have a core of it, and then you can have little things, if it's related but not necessarily attached, that's okay.
Yeah, because that was kind of what was confusing us, because in one form they're saying it has to be contiguous, and then another one it's like, oh, but it could be discontiguous.
Yeah, it's a quirk of the system that the way Massachusetts has set it up for their surveys, they just want it all contiguous. Like for example, down at the Brick, they were like, for National Register, leave out this building. There was something like that about the Brick. And so I was like, oh yeah, that's because national, you can have it discontiguous, but for surveys, it's not. It's
does that apply for local as well, or just the national? Like what if for some reason we were like, we're looking to get, we're not looking for both, but is that same qualification for the local too, or just national?
Usually for the local, if you've got like for the Brick, if you've got like a one property that doesn't really fit in there, you include it anyway. And then just every time, if someone had to, was going to make changes to that building, a non-contributing feature, you would just go, okay, and you rubber stamp it. So usually for the local districts, it's easier to keep them contiguous. Even if you've got I'm working on one for another town. Oh, actually, Pat, tonight, I don't have a meeting at 7. They just canceled.
Oh, how
They
great.
weren't ready for me in the end. So I had another one for the other town I'm working with. They, on this sort of thing, they've got a bunch of, new construction, which is the kind of thing they're trying to stop.
Yeah.
So their district has to include it, but anytime anything comes through, they'll just go, nope, do what you want. So, yeah, but it's
All
just, it's a funny quirk.
Okay, so if we find these homes and also the ones that are over the line in Taunton, we would just have to add them to another continuation sheet to add to the area
Yeah.
form?
Yeah,
Okay.
it would just be, it wouldn't even need to do a whole new form. I would literally just do a form with the same header and just say continuation sheet with a new date and just keep going.
Okay. Also, when we were looking at the Mount Hope, I can probably send them to you. There were some pictures that were mislabeled.
Oh
that
dear,
we
okay.
didn't catch. And so we can
Okay.
send those to you.
Oh yeah, let me know and then I can make sure that I can get them to MHC too.
Okay.
Oh dear, okay. They got through me, how many times did I look at it?
Yeah, Pat, or Eagle Eyes caught that for us,
Good,
so
I'm
that was
glad.
good. Yeah.
Good. I know, that's always the worst one. I'd probably, I'd be reading it in a year and I'd go, oh no. So
Yeah.
thank goodness. I'm glad you caught it.
With Mount Hope too, they talked about it would be possible to do a National Register nomination just for the Olmsted Brothers landscaping.
Yeah, I was thinking about, when they said that, I started to think about it and it's hard to say. I'd have to talk to them some more about it because so much of what I've got is a lot. In this case, Olmsted did do more than just landscapes. There's plenty of planting plans. There's lots of
Right.
planting plans for rhododendrons in the collection. But
Right.
they actually, in this case, they did consult on street placements and that sort of thing. That was one thing I wanted to consult with MHC, with Ben Haley about how much, because so much of the vegetation has been lost. All those trees hit their lifespan. And
Right.
so many of those are gone. So that would be something I can contact Ben and ask him for some clarification, because clearly a lot of the plantings are gone. Would they want us to just focus on, the collaboration on the streets and the layouts and the subdivision of how things were played out. So I can contact Ben about that.
Okay. And you can CC me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because even if you look at the houses and stuff, a lot of those plantings are now gone because, those rhododendrons would have been so old.
Right.
And they get very weedy and woody. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah. Whether we can just concentrate on the hardscape. Yeah, because everything hit, those poor trees have all hit their lifespan, and I know they were
Right.
coming down.
And then
All right,
those
so
trees.
I'll put that on my to-do list.
Okay. So is there really enough information online for Olmsted Brothers?
There's a lot, there's a lot of drawings, but the hard thing for me to kind of figure out is, since it was so collaborative, it's hard to tell how much was driven by Milliken, how much Milliken said,
Right.
I want this here, and how much was the Olmsted Brothers doing what he wanted, and how much was generated by them. So that's a trickier question. Certainly, yeah, that's a good question. It's a harder thing to figure out. Certainly there's collaboration there, but it's hard to tell how, because Milliken had some strong opinions.
Right, right.
It's a little harder to tease out which is which.
Is it not a reliable enough source that we should even consider it?
I could look at it. I could look at it with fresh eyes and see, because I was more concerned with just kind of documenting it, but I can look and see, because there is some correspondence there about, and certainly he didn't get everything he wanted. So it sounds like Olmsted Brothers did have some pushback. I can look at them. There are some drawings that Olmsted Brothers designed that had more that kind of cut between like School Street and there were roundabouts and things that didn't get built. So I can look at it, and maybe do a little compare and contrast what I think might have been Olmsted Brothers and what might have been Milliken's
Right.
Oh, okay.
reference. But I think it
Okay.
would be interesting to see, because certainly there are, I know there's little rotaries, and I know the mill, I think the park right by the mill, I think it sounds like an Olmsted kind of thing. So I can look at that.
I
fresh
think
if you
so.
want.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So the farm is Divine's Farm, right? That belonged to Mount Hope, And
That's what
that's-
it seems like, yeah.
and that's mainly in Taunton. So we could do some research on that. So, does anyone else have any questions about Mount Hope?
I think that was it. From Mount Hope, yeah. The Bill and I was asking her about the textile mill source
Mm-hmm.
and then the properties that were moved. But other than that, that's all that I can think of that we had.
So it sounded to me like from the letter from Ben that once we make an effort to document those moved properties, then they would consider the application for eligibility complete.
Is that the first priority, do you think? For us?
That would, excuse me, that would mean you're kind of free to, the first step would be to, once the survey form is all set and those questions are answered, they can start the register process. Then what would need to happen is you need to do an actual nomination to the National Register, which means, most of the work is done. Since I was able to get you a good chunk of the way there. I could figure out for you what would need to be done additionally, probably not a whole lot. It would need to be reformatted into the formal nomination. But I think I've got you most of the way there.
Okay. So yeah, if we knew what else we needed to do, in your experience, what is the cost for that nomination?
Yeah, I would need to break that out and see how much more I think I'd need to do for you.
Okay,
Certainly not as much, nowhere near as much as a survey. I would
Okay.
think I would think, especially since I've been able to do as much of it as I have, I would think under 10. Probably less than that, a good chunk less than that, but I want to make sure I give you an accurate number, but nowhere near, a third or less by far, probably much less than that. Because I think you're most of the way there, and I've done the photography.
okay. So if you could just put together like a kind of, I guess, a proposal, we'll call
Okay.
it, of what needs to be done for MHC, and then to go forward for the National Register
Okay,
and the prices with that, that would give
okay,
us. a
I'll break it
starting
out.
point.
I can break it out into two. I'll break it out into two estimates for you. I don't think the stuff for Ben will be all that much for the MHC questions, and then I'll break out this. I'll go back
Okay.
over it and see what I think you might still need for National Register. Not a whole lot. So I
Okay,
tried very hard to get you as close as.
okay, yeah, no, that would
I'll
be
get that
good.
for you.
I don't know Pat, if you want to mention about, how the next working committee, we're going to do a quote unquote site visit for us.
Yeah,
Should we ask for that if there's anything specific we should be looking for when we do that?
all right, we're planning on tentatively the end of June doing like a commission walk around in north of Dayton. Is there anything we should try and look at that would help or?
Help you, yeah.
I can, you know what, let me look at the maps and see if there might be, I can put together questions. Especially
Okay.
looking at the Olmsted maps. I'm trying to think if there were any unanswered questions, because by the time I write these up at the end, it's like, okay, just, you have to stop
Right.
somewhere.
Or pictures too, like if there's stuff that you feel like pictures of stuff that you want to include that you're not gonna have the chance to come down here and take pictures of that we can take and then send to you. If there's more that's needed.
Yeah, and I can, because let me look at my photos, because I take now that with digital photography, I take a gazillion photos and use it as my note taking as well. But I know I definitely didn't photograph the stuff in Taunton, because that was outside the scope of work.
Right,
Right.
right.
I think it's the farm and just those couple of houses. I can look at my notes.
Okay, yeah, just let us know.
Yeah, because there were a couple of houses on the west side of the road as well that were over the line in Taunton, and I just was like, nope, that's, gotta stop somewhere.
Right.
I can look that, so Taunton. To look for. Taunton plus Olmsted stuff.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to the brick area? So our other one is the brick area. Why did they exclude the Hathaway Cemetery?
No, I thought that was odd. Yeah, let me put it right here.
I would have thought they would have been all about that one, considering I want to say the importance of, maintaining and preserving historic cemeteries. I would have thought that would have been one of the first things they would have mentioned, but the fact that they said to not include it was very shocking.
Right.
Because I thought that's an easy way to preserve it. I thought that was odd. Let me just pull it.
Yeah, because their sentences, there does not appear to be an eligible area of significance under criterion A to include all of the resources in the documented area, hence the exclusion of the Hathaway Cemetery.
Yeah, that it seems odd to me that, when I contact, why can't I seem to find that letter? When I contact Ben Brick, here it is. It was misfiled. Let's see. The eligible area of significance under criterion A to include all the resources in the documented area. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I'll contact him and see what
Okay.
the hitch might be.
Okay.
I'll add that to my list. Contact.
So when we look at the brick area, there's I think it's the south side of the street. It would have been what would be Gideon Babbitt's property. And there were
Yes.
no houses that we did on that. But would any of those houses, we'd have to look at the age of them, I think. Because some of those houses might be 50 years old, and I know that's not our criteria, but that's some of the stuff that MHC is looking at. They're doing 50 years.
Yeah, unless it's something extraordinary,
Yeah.
Brick final forms. Oops.
Because I think in there, and the other thing with the brick was their range of significance. Wait a minute, that's Mount Hope. Yeah.
There's the brick. I think, you know what? I can't recall if those houses.
I know they weren't on our list because they weren't
Yeah.
100 years.
Oh, right.
So,
But they're at 50.
but they're at 50. So if we're discussing National Register things, would that be something we would have to include?
No, I don't. I think it's okay to leave it
Okay.
just one side of the street with that little dip on the other side, because what you're really looking to illustrate is kind of how this little crossroads developed. And so those
Yeah.
are kind of if it's, later stuff, it's kind of just, it's infill. It's stuff that was built on top of where the earlier houses
Right.
were.
Right.
So I think you can, keeping
Okay.
the story as tight as possible is good.
Okay, because this is where we got that question from, is in that paragraph about the brick. They're talking about the significance of, would begin with the date of the earliest extant contributing building. So it'd be around 1819 to the end, an end date reflecting the last year. of
Oh, yeah.
significance.
So Yeah, what they're
For-
saying is, yeah, I get what they're saying because, National Register has a, unless something, very specific happened, an event, it was event-based, and this event happened in 1812 or something. And that was the whole reason that building was significant. What they're saying is that because of the, because of the architecture, because it's significant for architecture, those buildings continue to display, the features. So they're just saying it's a kind of like a moving 50-year date. So let's say we, if it's 2024, we're gonna say it's eligible up until that 50-year. So, but if it doesn't get listed till 2026, they'll slide it into 50 years before 2026.
All
So
right,
that's what that's sliding. It's kind of a sliding, it's a way to kind of make sure that, your designated property, the period of significance doesn't get cut off somewhere, so it'll just keep sliding forward.
Okay,
But
yeah.
since the architecture is continuing to be what's significant, that 50-year will slide along with whatever year it is. So in 2030, it'll still also be 50 years prior to 2030. So,
Okay.
but yeah, you don't need to worry about those
Okay.
buildings across the street are replaced earlier ones. So you don't need to worry. But that's what they're getting at.
Okay,
That'll just keep your period of significance current.
okay. So South Dayton, that form, so when we looked at this, and I think I can answer this question for you, what it would take to get South Dayton eligible is they want an inclusion of all kinds of properties that extend the borders that we did not include in our survey.
Right.
So, for instance, on Somerset Ave, there are houses there that are probably 1900s or so, mid-1900s. So we didn't include them, but they are now 100 years old. Because they wanted to go down Somerset Ave, a couple more on Main Street, I think towards the water, and then the ones on Pleasant Street, in particular, 2120, 2128, and 2125. See, I know those houses, and we didn't include them. And 2128, we may have, because that is 100 years old, but that doesn't have a lot of architectural integrity anymore.
Yeah, I think we cut that one out because it was so far altered. Yeah, what they're looking at is it's kind of the conversation between, because you've got some National Register listed properties already.
Yeah, further
on Water
down,
Street.
yeah.
Not
So
far
what
down,
they're
yeah.
asking, they're asking you to look at kind of the whole, and of course, he didn't survey those because they're already on the National Register. So what he's asking is to look at a much bigger
Right.
picture. So I could
So
look, if
that's-
you want, I can look at what it might involve to expand it to what I think he's asking for.
Okay.
So,
Because I know like one of the houses is a ranch house, and I remember it being built, and it was built like in 1965. Costa's house.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that one, and I remember when they were clearing the fields because my mother got poison ivy from the smoke, but that's how vivid it is.
yeah, you don't mess around with poison ivy and fire.
No.
It's bad.
No, so, and that one, and then 2120, that house is the one that's next to the Smith Memorial Hall parking lot. They took that house down to basically the studs.
Oh, yeah,
And
that is so
redid
altered.
everything.
Holy cow. That was
Yeah.
a weird one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know like we didn't take a look at those because of those reasons, but I can see where they would want them
Yeah,
included.
what also may be, it'll be, because also that's so far gone. It's not, and what we don't do, what the surveys don't, like the survey doesn't do, it doesn't break them down into contributing and non-contributing features.
Yeah.
but the National Register would, and they'll start to, what they will look at is a much tighter, what do I think contributes to the district, what doesn't? And they also, get a lot pickier about vinyl siding and replacement windows and that kind of thing. So, that may be it might be a harder sell just based on stuff that isn't huge, but replacement windows get them all worked up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the deal breaker. So it may be, looking at it, kind of more holistically.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And it may
So-
even be that stuff, I haven't been there in a little while and I didn't look at them closely, because I wasn't surveying them, but even the stuff that's on the register, since I don't know what they look like, now, since they were, designated way back when. So,
Well, the one in the Coram Shipyard, we have a house that is probably going to be coming down. The John Hathaway house. It's,
okay.
yeah, it's, in very,
Did I
very
see,
sad.
did I see that on the market at one point? Did that
Yes.
sell?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Because when I'm doing survey work, I often flag towns that I'm working in and,
Yeah.
every once in a while, and I was like, oh, okay. So, so maybe that one won't even be there.
yeah, so
Right.
there's that one. So that changes that district a little bit, a lot, actually.
A lot.
1/3.
Yeah.
You can talk about it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful lot, right on the
Yeah.
water there. Holy cow.
Yeah, well, it's in the flood zone too, so,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Gotta
All
put
right.
some pontoons under it.
it'll float on
There's
down.
a solution.
All right, so, that helps. Does that help?
Yeah, big time.
So if some breakouts for us,
Okay.
some scope for, going forward with Mount Hope.
Okay.
Do you want me to have Pat email you the American Textile file, or do you think you'll be able to find it?
Yeah, why don't you email it to me? Pat has my email.
Okay.
It's just my first and last name at Gmail. It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I've had luck on that site with other things, but not that. But yeah,
Okay,
what I think I'll do, Pat, is since I have a nice laundry list of things to look at, what I'll probably do is before I forget, I'll type them up and make sure I've hit all the points.
okay,
I'll send you an email with my takeaway list and make sure I've hit everything you've had
Okay.
questions about, just so I
Okay.
don't forget. Okay.
Right.
Pat, I'll email you the link to those files. I tried in the past to email you the files directly while we're at the working session meeting, but the file size is so
oh, it's too
big.
big.
But
Yeah,
I can
just-
email you the link and that.
Yeah.
Just send me the
that'll work.
link. That's by far the easiest thing.
Okay. Okay, so, does anyone have any other questions for Stacy? No?
Thank you for everything. Your work is amazing.
Okay.
I mean,
It's fun. It's like doing I was one of those weird kids who really, really liked research reports. So I'm like, people are like, what do you do for a living? And they're like, that's cool. I'm like, if you like.
you're still in
doing
school?
research papers, yeah.
All right, Stacy, well, thank you for
Great.
joining us. Thank you.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
you,
Thank
Pat.
you.
Good to meet you all, new
Okay.
people. I'm glad we had a good connection tonight. That didn't always work so neatly.
I
so-
know.
All right,
All
have
right,
a good night.
thanks a lot. Have a
Enjoy
good
the
night.
beautiful
All right,
evening.
take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. You were a little starstruck, weren't you?
We should get a real celebrity in here and see what he does.
Francis, is that you?
I admire your work. Great things.
Well, I guess you've been reading about the name. I told Pat, I felt that way. I looked at area form and stuff like this for other towns for years before being on the zoning commission. So when I was given access to the Mount Hope ones before they were published, I was like, oh my God, is this real? So I was much like Stacey, I was that kid in school. Yeah, and still am, clearly.
That's awesome. Okay.
And I'm single.
That's something else.
touching that with a 10
No. Moving on. Next on our agenda,
Oh, it's not.
I had preservation planning. Rafa, did you hear from Paul Pacheco?
I'm sorry.
No.
He didn't show up last night either, town meeting.
Okay, so, all right.
Did we give him a check? We voted last time to pay him.
We haven't, no, he hasn't given us an invoice yet.
Okay,
So we don't pay him until we get,
The input, yeah.
yeah.
and that did say it was supposed to be done by July 1.
Yeah,
Okay, so he's got a little while.
well, I need the paperwork, so,
Oh, understand.
okay.
Preferably before July 1.
Yeah. I'll just have to bug him, that's all.
You know where he lives, right?
Huh?
You know where he lives?
I can find him.
Wow, okay.
Small town.
I got connections.
Hunt him down.
Is Pat in the mob? I don't know.
All right, so that's under our preservation planning. So next under preservation planning is community-wide survey of, I put Wellington properties. I was thinking Wellington Street, but it's the West Dayton properties because last night at town meeting, our request for CPC for 10 properties was approved. So that we can, oh, I meant to tell Stacy that too. So that we can move forward with our survey. So I took a quick look at Wellington, Wellington Street, and I think of it as part of Wellington,
It was included in Wellington.
in the town of Wellington.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
When-
I'm thinking Smith Street, Horton Street.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Wellington.
So I brought this
Street.
map, Myrna Santos did this, and I can make, send this to everybody
That'd be
too.
great.
You can see that it basically follows the Segregated, Wellington, the town of Wellington basically followed the Segregated River, like all the way down here on Center Street where Middle Street comes out, where the brick area is, and then goes, all apart in West Dayton. So there's quite a few properties. These are the ones that were just on the MACRIS list that have already been done. And we said that CPC would pay for 10
10 from this list.
from this list. And originally, when we talked about it, we talked about trying to group them together, so if there would be a possibility of an area form, to make it work. So with this list, if you want to, look at it, look at a map, and then just email me, what your opinion is, of what 10 should be included. Don't email everyone. I'll compile it and put it together. Yep.
Fish house,
Yeah.
fish schoolhouse.
These are all the MACRIS forms that
Oh, I
are,
understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of them was demolished. I thought they were one and the same. I see it's two very different addresses. So
Yeah.
is anyone familiar with either of those addresses? What does it look like?
so I looked at,
Betancourt's house, you know Betancourt's house?
no.
Going up Wellington, it's on the left-hand side. He's always doing construction. He's always in
Is
the
it Casey
wetlands.
Betancourt?
Hey, might as well, right? He's on the left-hand side. He's always doing something in the woods. Well, anyway, his mother came to the Historical Commission before you were a member and
Oh,
said,
Joanne.
Joanne Betancourt.
I'm sorry?
Joanne?
Okay, I don't know her. I don't know her. Very nice lady. She came to the commission and said, I didn't know about this 6-month bylaw thingy.
Yeah.
So I know they knocked something down, but was it the fish schoolhouse or the fish house? So what number
It
would,
was the barn.
no, it was the house.
It was a house?
So I'm looking, I just pulled up on Google Maps, 1763.
Yeah, it looks like what?
Is it house?
Does it look like Betancourt's house?
It's actually 2 structures on that property.
Oh.
I can't really tell from this point of, I can Google Earth it and get more of a 3D view, but
Well, which side of the house is which side of the road is odd and even? Because one seems to be on one side, one's odd and one's even. I want the one on the left-hand side.
okay,
So I don't know if that's odd or even. But in other words, you can just put a line through it because it was demolished.
Yeah, there was one that was demolished.
Yeah, so don't
But that
consider
would
it.
2226.
2226 is the left-hand side? That's a,
Yes.
okay.
And that structure is still there and that looks like a house.
It's a beautiful house. They completely got rid of the old place and they built a beautiful house.
That,
Okay, so
me
they
see.
demolished the
Yep.
old.
so that's what,
That's two.
That's why she wanted the bylaw, the destruction bylaw.
this property is what this form calls a schoolhouse. I don't know if that is converted or
All
that
right,
was
so-
demolished and that was built in its
Yeah.
place.
So this I just pulled right from the Macris website and it would have been on there. So we have to go through it and figure out if that has happened to any of the other properties.
Definitely.
And we can work on this, because now that we have the money, we're going to be putting the contract together to work with Stacy, and part of her contract will be our preliminary target list.
Right, okay.
So probably we can deal with this at our July meeting.
The Historical Society has a folder with the one-room schoolhouses. So the Historical Society would have a picture of the Fish Schoolhouse.
Right, all right.
Oh,
And I know in our files is all the information on that demolition,
Okay.
because I've seen that. That's why I thought it was a barn, but it was a house. Okay, so, I mean, if people want to take a look at it, do a little thinking, a little research on your own, and then we can come together and come with a consensus. We can have,
We choose 10 houses.
I would choose like 10 to 15, and then we can give those to her, because our preliminary list, when we gave them to Stacy for the other surveys, had more than the number of properties we were doing, so that she could take a look at it, and then she can make recommendations as to what would be cut.
this is what 17176 Wellington, the Fish House. That's a Google Earth, it's more of a 3D view. That's the Fish House. Not the schoolhouse, that's what they call, that is what this calls the Fish House.
Okay,
Okay.
Well, that looks brand new. So that would make
Yeah.
more sense that that was it, that they demolished the old thing and built that.
yeah,
I would
so,
assume so.
Yeah. that looks pretty
all right,
brand
so why don't we do this, go through it? Do research if you have questions, see what we can come up with. And I'd say if we have a preliminary list of, we know we have to get down to 10, so say, I guess around 15, a preliminary list of around 15, so that we can come, and some of these, there's a number of cemeteries up there too.
There's a few of them out there. Yep.
Yep, there's like the Briggs Burial Ground on Old Wellington, the Fish and Horton Cemetery, Peter Pitt's burial, which is maybe lost in the woods now. There's
Oh,
one
wow.
called the Smith Bowen.
No, I think he's off,
He's off of Pine Hill
he's up on the
Drive.
hill basically with I used to be the veterans officer.
Yeah.
So he's up by there's a housing development. He's sort of like up on the hill on the side.
Can you still get to it?
You can look it up and give it a try.
Because if you can do that, I'd love to walk it.
Okay, let me see if I can locate it first. Let me. take a-
Okay,
Pat, on this list, are we including the things that you wrote in or?
yeah, those are cemeteries, basically, yeah. And then,
Oh, so is that Pitt's Peter Burial?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
All right, so I'll take that. I'll take a look.
And is that Smith Burial? Smith,
Smith Bowen
oh,
Cemetery, yep. And I'll send everyone a copy of the map.
If you want to look at
on Facebook too.
the bottom, the Pitts house, that's Canberra's house.
Okay.
Okay, in the corner of Main and Williams.
Oh,
Okay, the White House that she decorates really cute outside and stuff.
Are you stuck?
It's white.
yes.
Okay, so that is the Pitts house. Across the street was the Pitt store. I have a picture of it, and mail station. That was
Yeah.
demolished and a house was put there, and they have like 12 cars and they park in the street all the time. So, I mean, there's really nothing to see.
Oh, the 2217? Oh, sorry, 2117?
Yeah.
2117, yeah,
Yeah.
so I'd
That's
go
where
line
the
through that.
The septic is above ground.
Yeah, isn't that cute? So I just look down here and I look for things that I would really like to see more information on.
Yeah.
And a store or a mail station, yeah, that would interest
Me too,
me.
but it-
But that's not an option.
And that was one of the first ones I was gonna look up, and now I'm like, well, I guess not.
And is anyone familiar with the Peter Pitts house on 1188? What a house. Go for a ride. It's beautiful condition. It's always been maintained.
Oh, so.
I swear it's got original windows. You don't have to worry about no vinyl replacement windows on that thing.
1188.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go for a ride. So I really would like to see more on that. That's nice. It's always been in the hands of caretakers who really appreciated the age of the house, you know? Present owners included. Their last name is O'Neill.
Okay.
Oh, the big, is that, so that, like gazebo in the back, I think? Is that a gazebo? Something round with
I
a,
haven't been for a while. I haven't been in the yard for a while. The house is reddish color, reddish brown color, and I've been in it.
oh, okay.
Beautiful, beautiful old home.
Who owns the house now? Somebody in there?
O'Neill, the last name is O'Neill.
Okay.
That's nice to know.
Her son went to school with my son, so that's how I know, that's why I was in the house and I know the family.
All right, so we'll bring that and put that all together for July.
Pat, you got Pitts marked as 810?
1700, the oldest.
Where's Pitts on the bottom at the handwriting?
That
Is
must
that
be-
8?
Oh,
It's Peter.
yeah, that's the Macris number, DIG 810.
Yeah, so like, these are not house numbers.
Those are the Macris
Oh,
numbers.
those are the map numbers. Same with these.
DIG.
And what's the, what are these numbers here? The Macris? What are these?
It's how Macros identifies, like, it's the first letter of the town dot and then whatever number
Oh,
they
okay.
assign to it. So like,
Yeah.
if it was Taunton, it'd be TAU dot whatever.
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
very good. That's a nice way to navigate.
But they don't, I don't think if they do correspond to the address number, it's a coincidence, but they don't.
Yeah, they don't. No, they
No,
don't.
yeah.
No.
Okay,
So have you seen the Macris website?
no.
I'll send you the link for it.
That'd be great.
It's a big rabbit hole. I mean,
It's,
like once you start and then
Getting
spend
bigger and
15,
bigger.
20 minutes, then you're looking at stuff, you forget what you started to look at, and the next thing you know, yeah.
2 hours go by. and
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like,
In a good way. I mean, in a good way. It's
in a
just-
good way. Always good. So, okay. So we'll do that. Moving on. Minutes of May 14th. Did everyone have a chance to read them? Any discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of May 14th, 2024 as submitted.
I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes from May 14th, 2024 as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, we can vote. All in favor?
Oh, aye.
Opposed, abstentions, and that passes. Ayes have it. Motion to accept the minutes of May 30th. I have to amend them, Rafa.
Go for it, girl.
First of all, we talked about June 27th is our tentative date for the walking tour, for walking of North Dayton. And the second is the survey notebooks. We said copies exist for everyone, he says.
Why not?
Not everyone. Define everyone.
I'm amending to say the assessor's office, town clerk's office, and the historical commission.
Assessors, town clerk.
So June 27th, they're gonna have they're gonna have another town meeting.
They are.
June 27th.
What time is this
for what?
walk
What, a
around
mock
thingy?
one?
Like,
Really?
Yeah.
It's not a mock, it's an actual, it's to amend one article,
Oh, you mean you have to go back to, oh, wow.
Oh, it's
we're
not,
having a real town meeting?
so not mock one.
special. A special,
Oh, so not mock meeting.
just
special
the
time.
20th, special town meeting, the 27th.
It's the 27th?
Yeah,
Oh,
we can't
at
do that.
7 o'clock.
Can you walk earlier?
In this building?
No, they're doing it at the school, even though they're probably gonna have like 25 people.
Which article?
5. It's just because something said, instead of raise and appropriate, it was supposed to say free cash.
Fine.
No, not yours. I checked.
The look on Pat's face.
That's the very first thing I asked. It's not tax, right? No. So, no, it's not. But it should only be, it actually should only be probably a half an hour.
So is that 7?
7.
We need all that equipment to go down there for that vote.
Oh,
What a
God.
waste of money.
No
It
kidding.
is. It takes us like an hour, 2 hours to set all that equipment up. It's not easy. We have no staff either.
I'm not even getting all the election workers there. We're gonna go with 5 people. That's it.
I'm gonna see if we, if that's only one article, I'm gonna see if
And
we can
that's
go without
including
equipment.
Ashley.
Yeah, you know what? I'll get a wireless and put a little speaker up there. That's all we need.
No, you don't, yeah, it's literally just one article.
Maybe
That's
walk
it.
Isn't it what, 5 minutes probably?
I would say 15.
So what we could do is go for our walk at 5?
Yeah.
5:30?
Matter to me.
Yeah, that doesn't
Doesn't
matter to
matter to
me.
The later the better for
What
me.
days? Is it 27th, right?
It's a Thursday.
Thursday.
I mean, do we want to change the date? I don't care what day it is. I just didn't know if.
As long as it's a beautiful day.
Well, we don't know the weather that far out, Rob.
We don't know the weather tomorrow.
Okay.
I know, then we get into July, the beginning of July.
I mean, we can still, I mean,
I can't, the 25th, because that's zoning, that's all.
No, I can't do it the 25th anyway.
If it's the fourth Thursday, I'm busy too.
So 1,
I
2,
can't believe they-
3. It
And we
is the
can keep the
4th.
same day, I just didn't know if, it just didn't feel rushed, that's all. But,
Otherwise, we're looking at,
because remember how we talked about we're possibly going to meet there and then go back and discuss?
right,
So if we want to keep the discussing aspect, that definitely would be tight to keep it the same date, even if we did it at 5 or 5:30. And driving there, getting out together,
Right.
getting into the building,
Yeah.
like,
um. All right, we'll finish the minutes and think about that.
okay.
All right, so those are my amendments, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of May 30th, 2024 as amended.
I'll make the motion to accept the meeting minutes from May 30th, 2024 with the amendments.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, let's vote. Everybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nope, it's unanimous. All right, moving on. Our budget right now, our balance is the same as it was last month because we didn't have any expenses. So 57909. Segregated schoolhouse is the same for $5,683.34. Our donations, the grant was actually for $300, so we have that in our donations account. That account's been all set up.
Do we have to use that money differently? Like how, like,
That's for the brochure.
okay, I wasn't sure, like, I've never had a board, been on a board that had a donation slot, so I didn't know, like, if we can only use that funds for something special or?
This money is designated because we got that grant from Bay Coast.
Oh, okay.
So it's not really a donation, it's a
Right.
grant.
It's a
Right, okay.
grant, yeah.
So, so that has a specific purpose.
Mhm.
Can't use
Uh,
something else.
Right.
Right, okay.
They're going
I was just curious.
Huh?
is that going towards the school, that grant?
No, the brochure for the walk.
The brochure, okay.
The walking tour, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Shara and I do have expenses for the conference. And we approved that at our last meeting to go. So it's the $250 for us to attend and the mileage she figured out, but I have to redo the forms and either Pat or Raph or I can hook up with you tomorrow or then you can sign it. But I'll clean that all up. Okay. So that would bring us our budget to about $1 difference in mileage, so approximately at $232. If I take the marker away that for Paul, that's $80. That's going to leave us a balance of $152.61.
And we definitely should use that because
that was one of the questions. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything that we need.
The only question I have, we talked about it before, the school across the street. Should we take one of us, and that could be me, maybe if I find some time, we want to make sure that shelter, everything's set in place, so no rain's going in or no water. And so let's say it needs some plastic in there, can we do that, or will we have to go through Tom
If we
Ferry?
wanted to take it, I talked to Tom Ferry about painting the doors. And he said his guys, would be able to do it if we could buy the paint.
Yeah, paint's expensive now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But we could get it for $152, couldn't we?
My dad gets an employee discount at Lowe's. So but do we have to get it from Lowe's? So if we were to hypothetically use this to try to save us some money, it would have to, Lowe's would have to carry the kind that we're looking for. So that would
Yeah.
limit us, but I don't know how much the discount is, but if we're looking to save money.
We're looking to,
Is there a problem with the roof that you know?
No, I think the
or-
roof's in good shape. I think my concern is one of the windows, it's an old pre-hung window in the back, and it's
Yeah.
kind of lowered down. So I get nervous as a homeowner that water's coming in through the winter and everything else. It's gonna hit the floor, it's gonna rot it out.
Yeah,
So maybe get those guys to fix that or put some plastic in there neatly and just, protect it till we get to it.
we can, I know you haven't been in the
I haven't.
And you haven't been in. Have you, Irene? Yeah. We
I know the
could,
window he's talking about
yeah,
was kind of questionable the day.
The window?
Yeah.
How long ago was that? You got good one?
It's over a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, so
Yeah.
it's when you first started, yeah, it was mine. So.
do we want to do a visit and,
Yeah, it might give us an idea. I mean.
And make a-
the highway department's looking for work. That might be a good opportunity.
why don't we go over there, visit, see what needs to be done to button it up or whatever. Then see if I won't make probably this fiscal year for budget by the time we get everything done.
I mean, worst comes to worst.
We
It
can't-
doesn't look too bad. We can just throw something up ourselves so we get those guys over there. If that's okay to do without breaking any
But
regulations.
potentially make some kind of motion or notation to use those funds before, like, saying that, like, can we notate now on the record, we want to use the funds, even if we don't actually use them by that date, or do we actually have to use them by the date? Even if we notate now we want to
You
use
have
them,
to use
You
it.
have to,
they have to be withdrawn from the budget by that date, even if you're.
you
okay,
have
okay.
2 weeks in July to get all your invoices in.
Gotcha.
yeah.
Unless you have an invoice for something that's already been ordered, you can encumber it.
Gotcha.
But that leaves you nothing in the budget out there, right?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I like your idea. Maybe do a walkthrough, see how much we really have to spend and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, if we're end up like 152, the lesson from last night is, we have to spend all of our budget because they look back at the past couple of years and we haven't
Well, you didn't
spent
use
it.
it, so
We
next
haven't
time
spent it all, so that's what they were basing.
That's why they
our-
took it off. That's why they took
They were
it.
taking out
Yeah.
the $250.
But it was like 20% out of.
Yeah, it's about 20%.
When you have a small budget, it's a bigger difference.
Yeah.
It's more obvious of it, yeah.
You know,
Did
and
you get it put back in?
I did.
Oh, good.
Are there any office supplies that you need? I'm just trying to think of,
we could,
Thumbnail drawings,
God bless.
I mean, is there anything for the
postage.
oral history project that like we could
Envelopes.
use that
Envelopes.
cable wouldn't have?
Then we have to send for the
We could buy another thumb
North
drive
Dayton letter.
if you want to.
What about
the
microphones?
what?
The letter?
I have a whole room
I
of
think we got a
stamps.
microphone. we can
Envelopes?
use.
Oh, we have envelopes, we have,
The letterhead form.
We don't-
we have the letterhead.
If you mind, we have to.
I have
if-
big envelopes, we have little
We have to
envelopes.
sit right there.
How old is it?
Yeah,
They have
We
to
have
kind of
microphones in there, that's
purple,
why.
so.
So tomorrow
We
night,
have to
you're gonna
use
go
them,
through the
yeah.
whole system
Vintage
with
look.
us. And then maybe I'll have you come in after, when we come up.
Yeah.
Do we need, does your project need thumb drives?
Well, that's what I just asked them. I said, is there, like, obviously with, we'll obviously discuss more about it. It's probably next on the thing anyway, but, we're using a lot of cables, resources that they already have. And I just asked them, is there anything that they don't have that we might be able to use, that we could pay for through our commission that would belong to the commission that they don't already have? And it sounds like probably not, but they seem to already have what we would be
Okay.
using anyway.
Okay,
I was just trying to think of, not that, it's one of those things where like, don't spend money just because you have it.
right.
But when the aspect is, but you'll lose it, then it's like, oh, then you should
I mean,
spend
you
it.
can always,
I think this year, we're kind of like grasping at straws and.
I know.
And we let it go,
yeah,
but be well aware of what our spending is and where our money is going next year and what we need to spend it
Okay.
on. Because they do look at it. We do know, so we'll just move on to the next agenda item is next year's budget. So we did get the $1,400, for our budget. There is a conference in, what did I say, September, in Worcester, in Worcester.
Worcester,
Um,
Ohio?
That's the Preservation Mass Conference that we went to eons ago, that was in Plymouth, that, was
Nobody knew where
really good.
Dayton was, right?
Huh?
Nobody knew where Dayton was when.
Right,
So
right.
Dayton, where's that?
In Plymouth, they didn't know where they.
Nobody knew where Dayton.
No.
was.
That would come on the map.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, over here.
so, we have that. We have the professional and technical, we're doing the survey. From talking with Stacy, there might be some expenses, to add on. Some of that certainly could come out of our budget. With her project too, we'll have 10 more properties for mapping. That would come out of our budget. Because CPC, I'm not paying for that. So we'll just be more cognizant. One of the comments was made, well, up until March, we hadn't spent 70% of our budget. But a lot of the things that we do are kind of like a buildup, the surveys, any of the framing that we've done of the documents, we did the map, you kind of like have to.
It depends
plan
when things
out.
are done. It's not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
they're not, yeah.
so.
Do they expect you to
it's-
spend a certain amount every month?
Well, they
Yeah,
kind
what do
of,
they care when?
look at it, I think over time but our committee is of the nature where you don't necessarily spend it all at once. And I said, two of us just went to a conference in June. The historical conferences are,
It would have been sooner if that's when it was.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So-
Yeah.
but I think we, as the commission, have to be much more cognizant of that and, going forward.
I kind of get it though. Like if it was me and they're like, you want more money from us, yet you haven't touched your money until the very end of the year.
Yeah.
What were you not doing it all along? Why'd you all of a sudden feel that? I get their mindset, but I think they do need to realize
But
that
they need to look
not
at.
every
what
board
was-
functions the
Yes,
same way.
right,
I mean, like for zoning, like we always have mailings that, so every month, there's
Yeah.
money that comes out for
Right.
a legal
Legal
decision.
stuff, yeah.
I've used more
that
of
to me-
my budget the last 2 months than I've used all year.
Right, because some things are reoccurring. We're not a board that has a
Right.
reoccurring purpose to spend
Yeah.
money.
Right. So, that's good. And then at the end of the meeting, a woman walked up to me, Heidi Brock, and gave me a check.
Who?
Heidi Brock, for $250.
Who's she?
She's from North Dayton on Forest Street, I believe. And
Oh, she's few houses down from
She gave you
me.
money?
she gave a check for $250. I asked her if there was any project that she wanted it to go towards, and she said, no, it's at our discretion.
Which was so nice.
So that goes,
Why? I'm not trying to question it, but just out of curiosity, like, what did she say why or?
because she believes in preserving the history.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's-
I mean,
I know what you're
just,
talking about. She's up the street. I talked to her a few times because we're dealing with the forestry project.
Right.
And we work
Yeah.
together trying to,
Yeah,
which worked out well for us.
Yeah, so,
Oh,
so we're very appreciative of that.
Now, can it be used for maintenance, for painting too, or?
Yeah.
That money can be used anywhere we
oh,
want.
that's why, when I asked that question before, I thought we were talking about that item. I didn't realize that's something, when you said, oh, it has to be used for the brochures.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that we were not talking about that yet. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
no,
that's-
because that,
Where does that check go in our line item?
we have a donations
Oh,
account,
okay.
separate, numbers to it.
So it goes in that line item, but we can spend it on whatever.
Yes.
That's just how we track how much we get from it, but we can put
It's a
towards
separate,
whatever.
it's
Oh,
like the
okay.
segregated schoolhouse account has its own number.
Yep.
This historical commission
Oh.
donations has its own
Okay.
number
Oh, okay.
for accounting
Maybe
purposes.
she
Oh, I
can
see.
get, maybe she can get another check for the schoolhouse.
Not changing the subject, what's the name of there's an area where they go out and they swim, they have a swimming pool?
Oh, Papa Squash?
I heard that's
Papa
for
Squash.
sale. I heard that-
Really?
Yeah, last week, I was gonna bring it up
I've
to you
never
guys.
heard of it.
Isn't
And
that
that's been around for a long
It's-
time,
Is it
right?
falling apart? No.
No, no,
It is
no,
Horton
no,
Street
no.
in Dayton.
It's not falling apart. They
It's in
just,
the old Wellington area.
it's in the old.
Someone said it
Wellington.
was selling it. I'm not sure if that's true or
Well,
not.
it's a private,
It's a private
and
thing.
I know they just spent a lot of money fixing.
On the pool is
Yeah.
nice.
And I know that
Been there
Maybe
years.
that's a false rumor, I hope it is, because that's always been a nice
I
place.
have someone I can ask.
Never
Okay.
been there.
I went there once for a
I went there as a
party or
kid.
something, end of the year party.
garden
Like,
Kids went there a couple of
15,
times, we
20
signed them up.
Many,
It was
many
nice.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, we
It-
did.
Many years ago, it didn't have a pool.
Right.
It just had the
We
mud
went to
hole.
The building.
What was it historically? Like, was
It
it
was
built,
a-
it was built to be
It
that?
was like a private swim club on
Yeah.
the little stream that goes around. It's like a pond there.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, I mean, when I went there, it was like 20 years ago and it was dark,
Yeah,
so I didn't really I didn't really see much of the outside. We went into the building for a function for
yeah, it was
a
like
end
a
of the year
big
party or something.
function.
It was pretty
Yeah.
popular though, because I remember having a waiting list to sign my kids up.
Yeah.
To use
Yeah.
it, so. Hopefully they're doing okay.
I will find out, so, all right, moving on, Zach, unfinished business here, we have the preserving memories of Dayton.
Yes,
A big piece, the release form is set,
awesome.
and I sent that to you.
Mhm.
So as soon as you and Dave can coordinate, I guess.
Yep,
We can
so-
start.
Therefore, I want to ask then, obviously, it's going to be contingent on everyone's schedules, who we're going to interview. Does anybody have any, I don't know if we need to vote for this, but who is there a first person we want to, like, I don't want to say inaugural interview, quote unquote, but is there a first person we should go to? I don't care. Does
Do
not
you
matter
want
to
to
me.
do, I think Dorothy Perry, because she's our Boston Post Cane recipient, and she is
Okay.
101, going on 102.
And time's
Wow.
ticking.
Does
Yeah.
she still get around pretty much?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if she wants to come to the
Shop
studio,
is
if we need
back.
to go to her house, obviously with this project, I'm willing to go and do whatever is necessary. So, I
Um,
mean, I don't know if,
To make you tea and.
So I don't know if you wanted to do someone like on a
Yeah, I would.
trial basis first.
She's living with her nephew now.
you said would do it first or would do it first?
I would not do
Would
it.
not do it first.
Do you want to do someone, to kind of like work and get the kinks
I
out?
would take somebody like Irene's husband.
He'll be the inaugural one.
There you go.
You put that in the minutes, someone like Irene's husband,
Yeah,
Irene will be there.
quote unquote.
There you go.
Will he be willing to go to the studio? The house is healthy enough for that? Because I think, like, to me, like, I don't need to do a test run at someone's house. That's gonna be much more simple of, if you come to help set up a microphone, that's easier for me to finagle. I can go to someone's house, throw my phone up and hit record, especially if we're not doing a video aspect.
Right.
That, I don't need to do a dry run for that. But if we're doing something at the studio where it's like someone who is willing to be more patient and realize that, hey, wait, can we stop? We want to try this out.
Mhm.
That's going to be someone that hopefully can, the only person I was going to suggest was, is it your nephew?
Oh, no,
Cam. Cam.
yeah.
Yeah, he was the only other one that I thought
Okay.
of maybe for a dry run because he's younger and probably won't mind if we have to stop every 2 seconds.
I
or-
like that idea, because if they're younger, they're gonna have more patience, and that way while we're fumbling, trying to get this thing
Yeah.
on track.
Yeah, I think-
Get some practice.
Especially
Right.
if your husband's health is iffy. I don't want it to be an organized date where
As
you're
long as
like,
you don't pick Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, because that's when he goes to
Well, I don't
dialysis.
care what it is.
Well, those are the
What-
days that he can't do.
Well, if you,
Make sure
So-
his hearing aids.
Okay.
I have never met Cam. You probably, how well do you know him?
I can ask him, you know,
Do you think he'd be something he'd be willing to do?
he's kind of quiet, you know, I'll ask him.
I know, quiet's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, also, if he's quiet, well, if someone's more on the quieter side and hesitant about doing it, but willing, being in the studio might put more of a focus and pressure with the lights and the camera and all that kind of stuff versus at their house where they might feel more comfortable with
So
their guards down.
He might be game for it. Let me ask. him.
Okay,
I'll reach out.
okay.
I'll put him on the waiting list.
And then put Jeff like second and,
I was thinking it'd be really cool if I think, I don't know who would be a good candidate to do it for, but if we did any kind of, like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and it's really cool when a podcast will do like a live episode, not live as in like live streaming, but in front of an audience. Where you hear the audience laughing and there's more, you can tell they're not in a studio, you can tell it's in front of a crowd. I think it would be really cool if we eventually can do that somewhere, but.
So you hold up a sign that says laugh.
all right, so we'll.
But yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
work
So
on that.
So to give you guys an update, the studio's completed. We have the person coming down tomorrow to train us officially, because we had to wait for more pieces to come in. And I'm really excited about getting this project up off the ground with the new studio.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
prior to even the dry run, I wouldn't mind going in, so
We can test among ourselves.
yeah,
Definitely.
so how soon can we do, so like, how soon can we do that? Obviously, it's based on tomorrow and how well and smooth your training.
Let me
goes,
get
but-
back to you. Let me see how the training goes tomorrow. And then
Okay.
we probably want to get our hands dirty with it for a while, make sure
Yeah.
we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be too bad, because we got a table in there, we got chairs and everything, makes it more comfortable. So, what I could do, I'll give you a buzz Monday. Is that
Okay.
okay? We do that to the committee, let you know where we are,
Yep,
and, we'll go from there. Or I'll send out an email to our group saying, here's our findings from our training.
yeah.
Okay,
So, I mean, I'm
Okay.
still substitute.
Because I really want to
teaching,
get this
so
up and running, to
Yeah.
see what we need to do.
If it's during the quote unquote school day hours, I can't do anything until after probably June 20th or 21st. That's the last day of school.
Okay.
But if it's after school hours, then it doesn't matter what day.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
okay. Moving along. The walking tour pamphlet,
Yeah,
so we decided to split it into two, one for Quorum Shipyard and one for the Wharf District. Consequently, that gives us more space,
yeah,
and Zach's
Definitely
working
space.
on the layout for that.
yeah. I was looking at it today. So before we were gonna do one like legal size, which is 8.5 by 14 paper,
Okay.
folded into fours for both districts. Realizing after the fact, it's probably better to do a threefold for each district. The good thing with that is that now there's a lot of space, more space, so we can put more information, which is great, obviously.
Yeah.
But or more pictures. One thing I thought of is that I can put clips, the old illustrated maps, the old bird's eye maps that we found. I can do, before I wasn't going to do this, but now I can also include pictures of the area from those maps.
Right.
Just an idea, here's one they put
Right.
together.
And we can do,
So obviously this will be our cover.
yeah,
Our back page is gonna be where we put the Bay Coast shout
right,
out, upcoming events, or whatever we've decided to put there. And then obviously inside,
Should be all right.
but we'll have the whole inside and this inside flap. So I thought maybe this inside flap, we could do just information like what to know about local districts in general. And then and then this part will be focusing on our area. Only because as someone who likes these kind of things, if I'm going somewhere and this is the map of our layout and this is where we're going, having to go back and forth between this, stops 1 and 2 are here, but then stops I like it all to be in one place personally. So I feel like if we do this flap more, especially if we have areas that we're hoping to get on the register, almost like a
To be continued kind of thing.
Preview of coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like what to know about local historic districts or something like that.
Or we could put for right now, you can put other areas of interest, and put Mount Hope area, Brick area.
Brick,
What else do we have? The Lower Four Corners area. Just like a little, that these are also areas. We'll work on that.
But especially with the Quorum Shipyard, because there's only 3 properties on there, we have a lot. It's like this size font. And then there's, I know, to you, that might not, there's like this size font.
I can't even
versus like
see the
that.
difference.
I know, I mean, to me, okay, here, there's probably a better one. There's this font,
Yeah,
and then,
Look over what you're doing.
and then there's this font, like
Yeah.
the size is different.
yeah.
Okay,
So like typically, like on your agendas right now, the bulleted items, that's 12-point font. That's the standard, like when you send a letter to someone.
Uh-huh.
Now look at the passcode information on the top of the agendas.
Yeah,
That's even tinier.
Right.
Right now, I have everything 12-point font,
okay,
which is the standard size that people are gonna be looking at.
right,
I can make it smaller, but the bigger it is, obviously, the less writing I can do. Right now, we're at a spot where I can put it at the 12 and put even more information. So it can be, and just make the font bigger or put more information.
The
whatever we
12 is
think will-
readable.
yeah,
Yes. Now, the password on the top of the agenda, that's tiny.
yeah,
I was
that's
looking
true,
at-
that's how.
So
that's-
I actually, what I
that's-
did was I put screenshots of the Liberty and Union walking tour one on the file, so I can like compare and contrast, like my site, the Liberty and Union font is so tiny
Right, it is there, yeah.
that like, I have no problem reading it, but I have to assume that not everyone doing this is gonna have my eyesight.
Right,
Yeah.
So, but also, we don't want it to be like large print where it's all, we don't want all to be this size font,
no.
because then we can't really include any information.
Right.
When you
So-
have different size fonts too, it makes it more interesting and we use different
Yeah,
styles.
like the heading will be
It
one
makes
font,
it-
right, size.
And different fonts and different sizes, so it
Right.
makes it interesting to read rather than everything being
Being
printed
one
like,
thing, yeah.
like the agenda.
Definitely.
So the other thing we talked about was putting the Dayton seal on it too.
Yeah, we don't, it would be on the cover because
Yeah,
I guess I didn't realize that we didn't have one, but you told me that the town's historical societies may have their own logo. But,
But you want to
Really
use
to-
the town.
right.
right, so like,
Yeah.
I've seen before, like Pembroke Historical Society have their own logo. And I asked Pat about that. She's like, the societies do, but like the
Right.
zoning board doesn't have their own logo.
right.
We were a town board, so
Right.
I wanted to put out, then I realized after, I'm like, okay, we don't have our own logo per se.
Right,
Right,
So I was gonna put the town seal there. Do we have to? No, of course not. We don't have to. It's not like it's required to put it on there, but it would just make it look more visually. appealing.
right. So I can come in tomorrow because you have a little form to fill out.
yeah,
All right,
And then Pat can email it me digitally, like how to,
Yeah.
okay.
okay, we'll do that, all right. So, and Pat was talking earlier about it and saying that once we get this all together, we get our walk together, it might be a good activity for 2026 to do, you know, it's not that far away.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And we need something. The
And we-
historical commission needs something.
Oh, you mean to do a second round, like doing it again, you mean?
I wouldn't say again, no.
Just-
I would get the pamphlet ready. We could do a walkthrough just to make
Right.
sure what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But save the big first time you do it for the celebration for the having for the 2026, because we need to do something.
yeah.
right,
So
Right.
this would be something big. This would
right.
be a nice thing. You've got a nice visual, you know, you've rehearsed it.
so we can do like a soft opening
There you
walk,
go.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Or donate to.
Yeah,
It'd be even better if Mount Hope was ready to go by then.
dream on.
Not.
I knew I was gonna get a laugh on my face.
All right, new business. Rafa, your informational letter for Dayton, North Dayton property owners.
Yeah, do you guys have to read it? What do you think?
I read it.
I'm open to comments.
I guess I don't know if I got it.
What? Is it too long?
No, I didn't see it.
Me neither. I don't know if I got it either.
Yeah.
Email it
I read a
out.
copy.
Oh, he handed out copies at one of the meetings.
Oh, I wasn't,
What did you,
Oh, hard
throw it away?
oh, if it was the
I don't
last
think
meeting,
I
if
got
it was the last meeting, I wasn't here.
No, oh, was it?
Hmm.
No, because you were on Zoom.
Yeah, sure, I make a photocopy of it.
Did you email it as
Sure,
well,
I'll just-
Rafa, or no?
I think I emailed it. Did I email it?
No, you can have
No.
hard copies for everyone.
Yeah, I passed hard copies.
Did I?
Just-
Anyway, I know where it is. Anyway, here, read it.
Huh?
I don't
Just
remember.
share.
I
Remember.
don't remember it either.
Oh, yeah. I don't-
I mean, we can pass it
We can just table it again. I don't
till
care.
next time, because it's not,
Sure, we'll table it. I'll make more copies. Give it back to me.
Send it to me and I will make plenty of copies for everyone.
My draft has been.
I'll bring it tomorrow and make copies.
Perfect, okay.
I feel bad.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is the certificate for a 100-year-old resident. So I got a call from Bella over at the Council on Aging, and she had a call from someone at Lincoln Village that Hilda Resendes, who lives at Lincoln Village, is turning 100
Who?
at the end of, the month.
100?
Yeah, so the question was, does the town do anything for someone who's turned 100? Officially, they've never really done anything for someone that turns 100. However, we made a certificate for Richmond Tripp,
Mhm.
turned 100,
And who's the other lady?
and
Was-
Barry Rebello,
Yes,
when she turned 102.
we
So-
did that party over it,
Yeah, so we have made certificates for different people, so,
because she wouldn't get the Boston Post cane because the
Right.
recipient's still
so
alive.
I explained about the
Right.
Boston Post came to, Bella and Laura. I said, we have this program. I said, our recipient is still alive and it doesn't pass to the next person until, Dorothy is no longer with us. And they're like, oh, okay. So they were talking it amongst themselves on the Council on Aging. They have never done anything either for someone who's turning 100 and don't have a policy about it. So they're considering doing a policy because it's kind of an important
Yeah.
milestone.
Yeah,
So I didn't, so she said, would we be asked if we would be interested in doing a certificate? And I'm like, well, we don't want to plan any programs or anything, but I would bring the option to bring a certificate forward for discussion and make a decision. So we have choices. We can begin the practice of giving a certificate to residents who turn 100, or we can just say we're only going to honor people through the Boston Post cane program. So,
The only downside is, we have people that already turned 100 that are like, why didn't I get that?
because the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
see, and going,
I know.
That's the answer to this.
Yeah. and going forward, it would have to be something that you would do.
Right, you can't stop doing it all of a sudden.
Right.
Or, like, oh, wait, since we did this, we've had 3 that turned 100, we didn't know about it, or we didn't give, yeah.
So if we said that the Dayton Historical Commission recognizes the Boston Post cane recipient, and that's our way of, and end it.
That almost takes away from the special, no, I'm gonna use the word novelty, but I know that word sounds. But the special is not a word, but it's almost like, it's kind of like when I was substituting in a room where, and so each kid gets to be like teacher for, like, junior teacher for the week. And then it was someone's birthday. So the teacher that I was subbing for picked that person to be the teacher of the week. But the kid was like, but it's my birthday. I get, like, I could have been junior teacher next week. Like, the birthday thing was my special thing. Now I feel like my special thing is something that every kid gets. So I feel like in the same way, if we do the 100, acknowledgement that turns 100, the Boston cane person, like, well, I thought that was kind of our special thing.
yeah,
And
that
now it's almost like not special because now other people can get
Yeah,
that.
I can see
Do you know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It almost takes away from the
What we're doing with that. Yeah, I agree with you.
Could we
That's
just
how I
take a
feel.
certificate and maybe just change the name when someone hits 100? Just as a-
I'm saying, like, regardless of what we call it, doing anything to acknowledge anyone that turns 100 takes away from the Boston cane.
What does it have to be 100? Why not 90?
Why not 40?
Why are we
There's other groups in
discriminating?
town, like the
Yeah, exactly.
Council on
72 is the
Aging.
new 72.
They certainly can, it doesn't have to be a Dayton Historical Commission.
Correct.
Well, yeah, were they suggesting that we do it or just want our feedback?
No, the question was,
Did,
do we?
do we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were also looking to see if we, would give like the Boston Post cane, but that Dorothy still is our
Right,
recipient.
right.
So, I clarified that. And I was like, I really have mixed feelings about it because we do have our program that
Yeah.
honors the age of the oldest citizens.
That's, if we didn't already have that,
Then I
or,
would definitely say yes.
or that went, yeah,
And that program consists of,
They really haven't established their program either because now it's, this is like the third kind of like request. So now it's becoming more, if you're going to do it, you have to do it consistently.
Yes.
So that's in their, whatever their policy is, that's what they're going to decide.
okay,
We have to decide as a commission, are we going to honor those that turn 100? There's,
I personally say no. Only because we do the Boston Post cane. And I feel like if I was the Boston Post cane recipient and I just had my big event and, and then 2 weeks later, 3 more people in town turn 100, it's like, okay, what's the big deal about my thing? But I can see one feeling that way and I wouldn't disagree with that. I could understand why they felt that way. Not saying the Council on Aging shouldn't do it.
I'm
do
wondering
something
if
else.
Council on Aging should do something.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Like that.
I'm not saying they shouldn't exist. I just feel like.
no,
we
but
shouldn't
that's
necessarily.
their
That's
issue,
theirs.
not ours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm
We've
not
got
gonna,
the Boston Post.
we have the
cane.
Boston.
That's how I
Post.
feel.
But I was asked the question, so I brought it, to
I
my,
agree with you, that
I appreciate-
it's enough.
I appreciate them
Yeah.
reaching out and I think, I'm not saying nothing should be done. I'm just saying I feel like we have our thing, they can have their thing.
Yeah.
so, all right. Do we need a motion?
So this is
That's
the
just a
Council
no.
on Aging.
Council on Aging.
When is she?
Pencil that in.
Ink it in.
Oh, red pen?
No, that's what we're gonna do. Okay. Okay, moving on. Reports, CPC, we met on May 16th. It was the annual public meeting. Well, first it was the regular meeting. We reviewed the articles for last night's town meeting warrant and then held the annual public meeting. And the next meeting, I think, is going to be June 20th. Then the library building committee met this afternoon. Slow progress. We're waiting for plans from MMT for the design.
Of the ramp.
The ramp,
No, for HVAC and codes things, the preliminary designs for that to start setting up for construction.
Is the timeline still the same or?
So far.
Okay.
what's that date they're thinking of?
Completion date?
They're looking like May or April, May 2025 for ribbon cutting,
Wow,
Oh, nice.
that's pretty
Close.
That's,
if everything goes smoothly.
Next year.
Yeah.
well, less than a year away now.
Wow.
So,
Cable will be there.
so that is one thing that we will do is our, for the ribbon cutting, we should definitely have a plaque for that building. Our markers, because we,
Tom, who should we contact?
And then
I know. Who's gonna call?
Not Mark.
So-
Sorry, not right now.
So then, and I also will have to write up a little something about the history of it so that that can be on display in that building.
And then at that point, we can officially start looking at preserving the Carnegie building, right? Because one of the biggest things was that we had to wait until it was no longer, I forget what it
Being
was.
used by the library.
By that, so,
Right,
and we couldn't do that until that
The
was
town
officially
Until
done.
that's official,
Yeah.
okay.
Because it's still under the Board of Trustees jurisdiction, because they're using it for storage of books. So as soon as that is, done, it goes onto the town side.
I think Sharon might have been right before you joined, but we were talking about like what things to prioritize.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, ideally, that would be one of our first things to prioritize, is considering the talks of what the building will become. And
Right.
Right.
But we found out we literally could not do anything to it for the,
Until the
until it was no
library.
longer being served for that
Okay.
purpose.
Well, the library
So
is
we have no
completed.
choice but to wait
Yeah,
until
right.
that building's, until it's
So-
out of that building.
And also, the state funding that the, library building and the town received for, what was it from the Department of, Travel and Tourism. Well, anyway, they gave like $150,000
Oh, wow.
earmark, and then it was cut to 87,000, you know, Governor Healy's budget. That is pretty well all obligated towards the furnishings and stuff for the building, because it had to be spent by June 30th. So the library director's been working diligently on that. So most of the shelving and things like that have been ordered. So,
And I think he got a deal with that too, with the high school's helping out with that, right, with the shelving?
the Dayton, he approached Dayton Rehoboth about that, and they couldn't take the project on.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So he had some discussions with the, you know, the shop directors and stuff, and they didn't have the capabilities to take that project on at this time. But it opened up, you know, the lines of communication, so there'll be other things, I'm
Okay,
sure.
no, that'd be great.
Yeah. America's 250 Anniversary Committee.
Mhm.
So these plans are progressing. We're planning a reenactment battle for hopefully October of 2026, but it may be later into 2027, depending on the availability of the reenactors. We will do a reading of the Declaration of Independence in July of 2025 and in August of 2026. In 1776, all across Massachusetts and the colonies, the Declaration was ordered to be read at all of the town meeting houses on August 18th, 1776. So we will be trying to get to that date as close as possible.
Yeah, you plan on, so a couple of years ago, a few years back, we used the community church.
Right, right, the
And
community
Patrick
church.
Menges did
Yeah.
an excellent job,
Yeah.
and I think I taped that, it came out
You did.
really nice.
So it'll be at the community church again, because
That'd be awesome.
we're working with that.
He's
And
he's reading again?
I don't know if Patrick is reading again. We haven't gotten that far in who's doing the reading, but
He should.
yeah, so, but we will consider asking him.
Yeah,
You know what we should
Veterans Day did a
do?
pretty good job.
We're a rural community. We should get somebody like Cam, who has horses, and we could have people drive through town and say, the British are coming, the British are coming.
Oh, my
Oh my God,
That would be
a Paul Revere,
amazing.
like a Paul Revere reenactment kind of thing.
That would be, yeah.
Oh my God, that actually would be
Dress 'em
really
up.
cool.
It would be. That wouldn't involve much.
Of course not.
Traffic control.
It's okay, if we have
On 38.
Claus riding the fire engine, throwing out lollipops to people.
We could definitely do that.
That would be adorable.
But you know, Pat, we had, when the kids were younger, we're down in the Warren, and they were doing the reenactment, and they came in, the British Redcoats came in, and they sort of like stormed the door. They said, we're looking for any spies in here. My kids get all nervous, but we find
Oh,
it's
that's
gonna be
cool.
treason, you know? The kids are all like nervous. It was so awesome though, you
Yes.
know? And then
it's
they were
something that
marching,
they
they were
won't
throwing
forget.
bread, you know, as the British was, you know,
Yeah.
I guess back then they threw bread as an insult at them, you know?
Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, it was.
Can we do a reenactment of our version of the Boston Tea Party? Can we go to the, it's a walking tour.
We already
We'll do a walking tour and all of a sudden we have people throwing in tea.
Well, there was the molasses affair.
That's,
We talked about that, but that was actually in 1774.
Oh.
So it's a little bit earlier, but we have talked about that. We're also talked about an event to coincide with the 2026 Cow Chip Festival, probably on the Sunday of the weekend, because that's a very, not,
So it's in June, yeah.
the
yeah.
fireworks are done already at that
June.
point, literally the fireworks are done.
So
I think they should paint the cows red, white, and blue.
I had a working idea. The cow patty with the flag. Holy shit, put that flag there.
Sticking it right, Rafa, you can do that.
That'd be adorable.
Rafa, we'll paint you in red and blue and you can put a red flag on the cow shits.
there you go.
We also have cowboys and Indians. Correct.
That would definitely
It's
be
politically-
politically
It's
incorrect.
politically incorrect, but historically accurate.
Exactly. I'll try to
So Pat, what do they want to do on culture?
So we're talking with Tom Ferry, so we're not really sure there's a stage area. We did find in 1976, they wrote, Charlie Harris wrote a script about the May 20th, 1776 Dayton Selectmen's Meeting. And so there is a script with the characters and seeing if we can get the school to put this
Oh my
on,
God, that's really cool.
on the
That's
stage, if we
so
can get
great.
that to happen.
Of course, they were all men.
I would totally be
Yeah.
involved with
Of
that.
course, they're all men, because that's all that could vote
Again,
in
again, historically accurate.
1776.
We can have Nicky Mello play as a man, a selectman from that
So,
era.
and in 1776, there was more than 3 selectmen, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
was
I think it was five. There was
Wow,
five.
really?
I'm pretty sure there was
Yes.
5.
With Helen Lane's.
Yeah.
Back then, I think there were 5 back, they
Really?
were, yeah.
Yeah.
They used, I knew at
And they
one point there
still
was a board of
couldn't get
5.
along like today.
Yeah, nothing got
We got
done.
along
That's
right now.
why- That's why we're still a third
Yeah.
world town.
You read you read it and it's like.
And it's
oh,
like, if you read her
same, same.
history and it's like, nothing's changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
It's
They
still
couldn't make up-
repeating.
They couldn't make up their mind.
I
So,
know, people talk about like, Trump and Biden bashing each other. Lincoln and Douglas did the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like,
It's tradition.
history repeats
Absolutely,
itself. So
absolutely.
anyway, we have some ideas. We talked about the walking tour because the question came up, what is the historical commission going to do for activities? And I said I would bring it up, and Pat had this idea about the walking tour. We can really, do that up big.
We're doing it anyway,
Yeah, we're doing it anyway.
putting in the time now, and it'll be
Yeah, and if there's something
It's a
else
great
that we can do,
Washington crossing to Delaware.
we can think about that, but certainly, we want to be a part of the activities.
Cutting down.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, so I'll just say we're in and we're not sure what, but we're
But
in.
we're in.
We're in.
Actually traders.
Your turn, Sweet Knolls.
Okay, so May 20th, I met with 2 people from the DCR, Simon Schreier and Amber Christofferson, and a representative from the Taunton Watershed Alliance. So the meeting lasted about an hour. So we discussed goals and for the interpretation of Sweet Snow, and we had to define the goals of each agency, what historical commission has to do and what the other agencies have to do. So we came up with a list, and let me just briefly read the list. So our commission, our goals include protect and preserve the cultural resources within the park, educate local citizens about the importance and process of cultural preservation, promote historical preservation, engage local citizens in the process and practice of historical preservation, instill a sense of pride in the historical character of the Dayton community, and involve the public in archiving the histories and stories of Dayton. So that's our goals, okay? Pretty much
I like it.
basic,
Yeah.
Now, for the TRWA, the Watershed Alliance, their goals include share the cultural and natural history of the area, connect visitors with the Taunton River, teach visitors about the ecological issues affecting the river, and then in question mark, chaos of some kind.
Cool.
Yeah, like weird. DCR includes provide recreational opportunities that do not degrade the quality of the natural and cultural resources. Encourage visitors to be stewards of the park and share the history of human activity within the park and the region. I'm actually very interested in this one. So we went over that, and then we talked about the collective goals. How do we combine all these goals into one? So we came up with educate visitors about the cultural and natural resources in the park and the region, instill a sense of pride, encourage curiosity and get visitors excited to learn more about the park and the area, engage visitors in outdoor learning and direct interaction with the environment, use indoor spaces to augment visitors' experience of the park, garner financial and voluntary support for DCR, TRWA, and DHC. Visitors feel like they're a part of the stories/histories embodied in the park and the region. Visitors feel a sense of ownership and belonging and increase visibility and support of partners in the area. So basically, actually, Simon did a wonderful job organizing this whole day. Right after the meeting, he sent us a slides based on the meeting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like very organized. You know, overview, rules, whatever, et cetera. He's amazing. He's unbelievable.
I've seen online the rail trail
Mhm.
PDF, the proposal for the plans for that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And our next meeting, we're going to talk about the next step.
When do you meet again?
You didn't say.
You didn't say.
We haven't decided yet, because actually our original meeting was supposed to be May 17th, but he had to
Right.
later to
Right.
20th. No, he hasn't
Can you
decided.
send me those goals?
Sure.
Okay.
I can send you the entire slides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Awesome. I'm so glad that that's finally coming together.
I know.
You know, we have a lot of information to share with them.
Yeah.
So, Very good.
Talking about too.
so the Mass History Alliance Conference, Shara and I went.
We did.
We went up to Devon's. It's out secluded in the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere, yeah.
Was it at Fort Devens?
No, at Fort Devon's.
At the Holiday Inn?
Yes.
Huh?
Was it at the hotel that's there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
So when I traveled for work, one point, the company put me up at that hotel. And I was like, I didn't realize that what Fort Devon was. I was like, there's no Devon's, Mass. That's not a town.
No,
So I couldn't,
Air.
Yeah.
that's it, right. And I couldn't find it. And then I was like, I finally found the address. And then I remember driving through, seeing the gatehouse building. And I was
Yeah.
like, is this a prison? I'm like, where the hell am I?
Yeah.
And then it was dark that when I went up there. And then when I woke up and I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, this was an old fort. And then since then I've looked a lot at that property, but it's amazing.
When was this meeting? Conference, rather?
My husband was
June 3rd.
stationed at Fort Devens.
Oh,
Before he went to Vietnam. That
There a lot
was
of
his
people?
duty station.
There was a lot of people. I want to say
Yeah, there was a lot of
it was pretty
people.
busy, and you know, I really enjoyed it.
No, it's like.
I kind of got a little bit teared up a little bit for the opening remarks and the opening
Yeah.
speeches. It was just about like the Native Americans and how they honestly, their history is
Yeah.
starting to diminish, like, and it was very eye-opening. And honestly, like, there was a point where I was like, oh my God, don't do it, don't do it, don't cry, don't do it. Because like, it was amazing when he started singing and like, oh my gosh, it was
It
beautiful.
made you
Think,
think,
yeah.
you know.
Native Americans, but
Yes,
Yes.
they were native, they were really powerful and you actually felt like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that we took all that away. And we
Yes.
just, and how they are going to bring they're trying to revive their history and also their part, in the history of the United States because it was pretty much written out.
oh yeah.
Um,
And trying to like bring
Yeah.
younger people and children and teaching them their history instead of what's out there that
Right.
might not even be true or, and things like that.
And
So,
the gentleman, Larry, he talked about as a boy going into like middle school and how he didn't feel like he belonged. He had
Right.
no connections to that. And then he talked about with his grandfather, how he would go and talk with his grandfather and his grandfather taught him all kinds of things.
Now, what tribe is he with?
Ask me a hard question.
No, I know.
It's not Wampanoag.
Nipmuc.
Nipmuc, yes.
Yeah, he was from the Nipmuc. And Rhonda Anderson was the woman, and she was from the Athabascan from Alaska.
But it was really eye-opening.
It was really, that
It
was
was
really
powerful.
good.
That really was. It was powerful.
So that set the tone for everything. And then we went to one, that was about an hour they spoke.
Mhm.
And this Larry man spotted, Burt Crow, whatever, terrible with names. Larry Spotted Crow Man, he actually played like a welcoming song
That's what
And-
made me like,
and,
Yeah.
in the native language and everything, just even their revival of the native languages.
They're wearing costumes.
So this is like one of the websites, this Okita,
Yeah.
that you can look at. It's their Presence of History story. So I brought this whole folder. If you want, after we can take a quick look at it. The second thing we went to was Historic Boston. And it was the rehab of Upman's Corner Comfort Station into a successful restaurant. So it was an old comfort station, like just with restrooms near the trolley line. And
In Boston?
In Boston.
and actually, it was outside of Boston. West Roxbury? No,
No,
I can't remember.
More in the neighborhood. It wasn't like.
It's one of the
wasn't like inner
neighborhoods.
city.
it wasn't
No,
inner.
no.
Oh, okay.
So Historic Boston's a nonprofit, and they work just in the area, with the greater Boston area. And they connect historic preservation and local economic revitalization. So they'll look for properties that need to be rehabbed and can add to the community. So they did this comfort station. Now this kitchen that's in there, and they paired up with a chef and restaurateur person. There's 3 owners, husband and wife team, and the chef. And it's winning like the James Beard Award.
Oh, I've heard of this.
It's supposed to be pretty.
Now that sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah.
So and their job is, there's an agreement too that they do like for 5 years,
Yep.
and then the people that are running the restaurant will actually own the building, but there are historic preservations on it that they have to keep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're always looking for different properties, and they're only in that area, because I'm like,
So not us.
That would be, yeah.
So not us. I guess we're too far out of the air.
yeah.
Well, with the commuter rail coming through, we could be a suburb of Boston by then, so.
So then we went to we had lunch, and we kind of networked with some people, sat and chatted and stuff, which was good. And then we went to one on facilitating access to the archives with the Mass Schwab. And they do all the digitization for the for the Massachusetts, government, the digital website that they have. So it's the vital records and all of
okay.
that. And they talked about how to begin the process of digitizing and why you should do it. And I did email for the PowerPoint from that presentation, so I have that, because she talked about, when you're going to begin it, what you need to do. And I thought of our things. We do have things in the vault that belongs to
All the old maps and
us.
stuff like that, you mean? Or is it not?
Those in the vault is some old records and some old memorabilia, but we should start thinking about digitizing it to help for preservation, and also it helps for inventory too. We do have our inventory. So you can digitize objects by taking the pictures,
Yeah.
scanning any of the documents that we have. And then how you can also get them available to the public.
Is that something that do we pay a company, no, just one, pay a company to do that? Or is it easy enough that you can do it yourself? Sorry, that one, not you, one can do it
They
yourself.
said, she did say it could get very
It
expensive,
can, yeah.
The only thing I-
depending on what it is
The
and
reason why I
what
asked is that
what you
with
want.
the $159, is it worth getting some kind of a professional
They
grade
talk
scanner or
about
something like
storage
that?
issues about what they do for storage to keep the price down. They mentioned that.
They talked about storage and some alternatives for that. I can send you.
I would love to see that to help us store this
Yeah.
information we have now.
Yeah,
They did say it'd be smart to have 3, right?
Right,
Three of something, so that way.
External hard drive, digital cloud, and another flash
Yeah,
drive.
so that way if
One thing
something
happens to
went-
something, it's
Correct.
somewhere
Right on the
else.
premise, yeah.
Yes.
It's not a bad idea at all.
Mhm.
I just, to shout, I don't know if it's, not really kidding, but a way to spend the $159, is it worth investing in some kind of more high-tech scanner?
You think for $159 we can get a
No,
high-tech
no,
scanner?
no,
I was gonna say, probably not.
I think the one that we have in the planning, the zoning board office is probably not any more or less better than what we could get elsewhere.
right.
but-
And we have access to that,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Perfect,
true,
yeah.
yeah.
But certainly that is
It's not
something,
always been-
that's also something to be thinking about for future too,
Yeah.
is how are we going to do that? What is important? We do have all of our survey forums. They're on a flash drive on flash drives and on my hard drive.
Okay.
You know, so we really need to make some more copies of that.
Mhm.
They're not in a digital cloud
They're
anywhere.
not.
No.
Okay.
No, so,
Is that something easy to do? Like to just put it on the, as long as you have the hard drive or whatever?
right.
The Google Drive that we have for the historical commission
Yeah, exactly.
is, yeah.
Yeah, but how much they give you on Google email? They give you so much drive space, right? I forgot how much it was. It wasn't bad.
No, it's like a gig. It's a gig and then it's like for the free level. And then you can pay like 99 cents a month to double your space,
Yeah, I do that,
which is
yeah.
insane, which is an insanely cheap amount for double the space.
Yeah.
So like,
Right.
it's almost like, oh, it costs money. It's like the amount of space that you have for free is a lot of space.
Yeah.
But now the more
But
you
99
do,
cents is not bad.
but right. And I'm like somewhat exaggerating. It is $1.99 maybe, but either
But
way,
whatever, it's like $24
not-
a year.
It's
or
not like
whatever
$50
it
a
is.
month that we're
Right.
gonna have to spend. That's my point. Like
If you could forward that backup solutions they have, that'd be great. We'll take a look at it.
yeah, I'll send you the whole slide presentation.
Yeah,
That way.
that'd be
you can
nice.
post
I was
it,
gonna
okay?
look at that.
So, okay, is there anything else? Oh,
Stopped listening when you talked about the Indians, so I'm sitting here going, please, give me a break so I can say this. When you said how moving the piece was on the American Indians, is your anniversary birthday for the country, are you doing anything with American Indians from
We-
Dayton?
we are going to, I have to reach out to them, yeah.
Leanne Maddox? Remember Tony Maddox?
Yeah,
Tony Maddox?
so Leanne is in town?
Doesn't she live either on Marion or Estherbrook?
No, if she's still there or not.
Her mom's in Fall River. I see the mother.
Oh, I didn't realize she was still around.
The mother's in Fall River because she came to the Council on Aging one day to knit. But Leanne is here, but her name's not Maddox anymore, of course. It's Leanne something else.
Oh, could you find out?
Sure. I'm wondering, are there any other
There are, I have two names.
in Dayton?
They're associated, one is in Berkeley and one is in Dayton. So and they're, I'm gonna call them.
Okay.
And they would also be good to add to our preserving memories list. Any of the Native
That's a
American.
great idea. Yeah.
Because you said how emotional, so why couldn't we do something like that for us?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And maybe we could have a brief thing on how to pronounce Wampanoag. No, I'm just being fresh ahead.
Not you.
Wampanoag, not Wampanoag. I don't know where you're getting that from. Wampanoag.
So, okay, our
It
next.
depends on who you talk to.
All right, our next meeting date is July 9th at 6:00. And my other thing on here is the zoning board meeting on June 25th regarding 2120
I have
Water
them.
Street.
The meeting packet is now posted on the town web. I printed it. I was sent it via email from Carrie, obviously, because I'm the chair. She's the office manager for our board, but it's also now electronically posted on the town website.
Okay.
It's like,
Okay.
it's been sent by the town clerk, which I'm sure you've seen. So like, it's not like, it's now public access. We wait until it's, we have everything, but anyone can go home and Google. Pat did not email this to me, is what I'm saying. I printed this myself from our email, but anyone can go look at it now online.
I cannot go to this meeting. I would like to go, and I would
Mm.
think we would want to be sitting there in the audience if someone could go.
What time?
Starts at 7.
So the reason it's 20,
June, you
21,
said
20 Water
June
Street.
25th?
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna, I'll
7 p.m.
say this publicly, so I'll be, obviously the chairman of the board. For our board, the chairman, obviously, ideally, they don't have the chairman voting on cases because the whole point is them to be more like a neutral mediator type thing. But smaller size boards and conflicts of interest in town, being a smaller town, sometimes I am put on cases. This one, I'm going to tell, so that in our board, the town clerk, sorry, our clerk on the zoning board assigns voting members at random. I'm going to tell him to not put me on this case.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be a member of the public. I'll still be chairman, but I just want to be a voting
You
member.
want to be a voting, yeah.
Because it's kind of a conflict of interest in the sense that any reason that I might have for voting against this property to maintain historical preservation is not a qualification to deny someone for a variance for a zoning board.
Okay.
The special permit we do factor in, is what you're doing going to affect the natural resources or the historic, so I would be able to factor that into my decision. But when someone comes before for a variance, me saying, I don't want this because I want to keep the historic house, that's not a reason for me as a voting member to deny that case.
Right.
So just at the risk of any kind of conflict of interest, I'm not going to be a voting,
Right.
I'll be at the meeting, running me as a chair, but I'm not going to be a voting
Voting
member.
member, okay.
Because
Yeah. And that keeps it clean. That absolutely.
And that's at 7:00?
yes. I mean,
Where's that-
I don't know if it's the only thing on our agenda, so if it means at 7, if we have 2 other things, will
This
we,
could be bumped.
will we not hear that till 7:30? I don't know,
Yeah.
but just so you know, but also don't come late thinking, we won't get to it right away.
It's here.
Yes, it's in this building, yeah.
Oh, it could be in this building?
All our meetings are in this building, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It used to be a COA. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Well, yeah.
In the beginning.
Once in a while we would meet there.
So do you think the owner of this property will attend?
It's cases, it depends. Sometimes it's a case where like the lawyer or the engineer for the project will attend and the owner will just be in the audience sitting because
They're presenting.
it depends on the size
So in
project.
other words, somebody's bought the property.
Oh, yeah, they've had it. for-
Not necessarily.
They've-
Sometimes people are about to or looking to buy the property and they say, I want to buy this property and do X, Y, and Z. And they say, well, we're not ready to vote on this yet. But we're buying it tomorrow. I need to know. And that's like, well, we're not going to vote now because you need to know tomorrow because your sale closes tomorrow. So someone has not necessarily bought it. I don't know the details yet. And I literally just got this today. I don't know enough of the details to know what this person, if they already own it, if it's in a trust, if they're looking to, I don't know.
There was a
Well, the realtor would
quick
know.
claim
Yeah,
deed on.
so, I can't go, so if a representative or two to go on Tuesday, the 25th. That would be great. So we're sitting in the audience in case it's.
But this building's already condemned, so I don't understand why the need for a hearing. I'm confused.
So Zay, you think they want to go there to find out how much, if they can do it before they spend the money? They go to zoning, like, I want to do this, and this. No, you can't. So I'm not going to buy the property.
Sometimes we'll have someone who will attend the meeting and then after we're done hearing our cases, during public input, they'll say, I'm looking to do this to my property. Is that something that you guys do? And we say, well, we're not going to tell you now. What I will say is, based on what you're telling me, yes, this is a type of case that we hear in zoning. But I will not say is, oh yeah, I'm sure we'll approve that. Because how do I know if it's not,
Right.
you know what I mean? But we can say, yes, that's not.
Things are constantly
Or
changing.
we might say, you might want to go to the building inspector first. I don't really, sometimes they don't have enough details to tell you. So this person could very well have bought this.
So in other words, they want to take and destroy this and then put a new 2-family house on.
Which you do need to go before the zoning board to
Right.
do. However, and there are reasons what we factor in to make a decision to approve or deny this. To preserve the historical structure is not one of them. I can't say, I don't want it to come down and like that old house. I can't say that.
Right,
Yeah.
so
It's not a legal reason to deny a
Because the
variance.
house has been condemned.
it's condemned.
Yeah, but that part doesn't even matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I can't, so that's why.
So just because it's a historical and it's in our district and stuff, a representative from the commission should be there to be able to answer if a question comes up and also to gather information. So,
Yeah.
okay. Is there anything else? We didn't have anyone write us any letters or anything, so we have no correspondence. And now,
I have a question.
yeah.
Can we possibly send a thank you card to the person that gave us that check?
yes, we will do that. I will do that.
I don't know if that's something that we typically do, but
Oh, I would
I
say,
think it would be
always
a
say
great-
thank you.
Yeah.
So, we didn't decide what we wanted to do about the, June 27th.
Yeah.
oh, yeah. I mean, if, like I said, if we wanted to meet after to discuss, it definitely would be tight on time, even
Right.
if we met at 5 or 5:30. Do we have to do that part, meeting after? I almost say yes, because everything will be fresh in our mind. But I don't think it's a make or break doing the welcome part, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
because I would have to be at the high school by 6:30.
Oh, geez, okay, so. even
And
if we
you would
have
have to
the-
be there by what time?
We probably get there early, but I'm gonna bring something smaller, but still an hour to test and everything.
So that means even if we met at 5 the earliest,
It's not.
That would be-
gonna work.
that'd be tight.
You know what, the more I think about it, because we're always, everybody's got to prepare, even so only one, article.
Why don't we say that this special meeting will just postpone and we'll discuss it at our July 9th meeting and regroup then. Because if we don't do it June 27th, then we are running into 4th of July week.
also too, if you think about it for the working session meetings, the more time we wait, the more information we'll have back from Stacy to discuss.
Right, so
So-
let's hold off and pick a date for our special working meeting at our July meeting, so.
Okay.
I think that works better,
So no working meeting.
the 27th. Okay, is there anything else? No? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Now you
I'll make
can
the
second.
She was-
Okay.
she was entertaining
All
motions.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and we are now adjourned.
oh, I want to get some sleep.
Thank you for your patience.